everybody, and welcome along to PSGL Season 31, the final round of the PSF1 Championship. And we head to the home of PSGL, the home of British Motorsport in Silverstone, for the British Grand Prix. We've had one champion crowned last week in the drivers, but we still got the constructors to be decided. The top two constructors are tied on points, so anything can happen. My name is Jess Ball, and for the final time this season, I'm joined by Mr. Aidan Carter. Aidan, how you doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you. Yeah, looking forward to this one. I can't believe how quickly season 31 has gone. It's absolutely flown by, hasn't it? It's been such a brilliant season, and yeah, such a pleasure to commentate over this one. So I'm looking forward to the final race of the season. Of course, like you say, at the home of British Motorsport at Silverstone, it's such a great track for racing, no matter what kind of realm you're doing it in, whether it's in the online realm or in the real realm. It's just such an amazing circuit, isn't it? So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too. First had a race back in 1948, but first raced in Formula 1 for the inaugural Formula 1 World Championship back in 1950, and it's hosted most British Grand Prix ever since. There were many other British Grand Prix in Donington Park and Brands Hatch, to name a few as well, and there's a lot of British drivers as well. One thing to point out tonight, our champion, Danerco, is not here tonight. His internet is pretty bad, unfortunately, so Dessa will be replacing him as well. And our second place man, Philip Valters, he's not going to try and battle for second in the championship because he's not here tonight either in the Alfa Romeo. So we could have Tom or Rudy nick second place off him as well. And that'll be the last time we see Valters, because Valters, along with Danerco, will be moving over to the PC side next season for season 32. So shame to miss those two from PS as well. But it was nice that Valters gave Danerco a challenge throughout the season.
Yeah, it was nice, wasn't it? We mentioned it a couple of times last time out that coming off for such a great season 30, Danerco was definitely the favourite coming into this season, obviously battling for the title all the way up to the pretty much the last round last season. So he came in as the clear favourite, whereas Philip Valters kind of came into this season as kind of a relative midfielder. He'd had a couple of good results. I think he picked up one podium potentially in season 30, but other than that, he was just kind of running around the 8th, 9th, 10th area, kind of being a bit of a backup for Isma that season. But yeah, this season the improvement that we've seen from Philip Valters is massive. It's such a jump, and it's nice to see him jump to the front of the field, having been in the top tier for quite a while. So yeah, really, really great season for him. Obviously not able to fight all the way to the end for the title, but incredible consistency. And it's kind of sad to think that this will be the only time this season that Philip Valters will not finish in the points, because he's obviously not here. Other than that, every race he's competed in, the 10 races before this one, he has finished in the points. So yeah, shame not to see him get that streak of every single points finish of the season, but either way, he can be incredibly proud of his season.
Same with Danerco as well. Danerco has finished every race in the points, even though he had a horrific race in USA around the wet conditions. Well, to be fair, he's not as good in the wet conditions in the dry, so it is to be expected. We'll go through your Drivers' Championship, even though it has been crowned already, but there is the fight for second place. Basically, due to Tom getting more second places than Philip Valters, basically, Tom will be second place no matter what, as long as Rudy does not outscore him by pretty much a race win. So if Tom scores tonight, he will get second place in the championship. Those are the only two drivers that can fight for second place in the drivers. But the most crucial championship tonight is the Constructors' Championship. Two drivers, like I was saying earlier, were tied on points. That is Ferrari and Mercedes. However, one Ferrari is not here tonight in the form of Danerco. Reserve drivers do not score points for the constructors, so we just have Mish as a second driver. Well, I believe we have both. Yeah, we do have both Mercedes drivers here tonight. Same with McLaren and Alpine and Alfa Romeo. So Ferrari have got a lot of work to do the double for Danerco, but Mercedes have got definitely a fighting chance, I have to say. So it's going to be very, very interesting indeed. So don't think just because the Drivers' Championship is over, it doesn't mean we're going to have a bad race. Now we're going to have a fantastic race, because Silverstone always does, and a good constructors fight to go with it as well. And it could go either way between the top 5 teams. You never know, Alfa Romeo could win the title if any of the other 4 teams bottle it.
Yeah, they definitely could. I think looking at the constructors coming into this, like I say, it's really, really close. But you've got to say this is a massive opportunity for Mercedes in this constructors championship, isn't it? Because, like you say, reserves are only scoring, not scoring at all. Mish, the only one scoring for Ferrari tonight, and Mish has really struggled this season. Only 3 points throughout the entire season. He's been one of the worst full-time drivers, unfortunately, this season. So he's Ferrari on the back foot here, whereas Mercedes have been featuring at the front in pretty much every race. Their drivers have got wins and podiums on multiple occasions. So yeah, Mercedes a great opportunity as well. But of course, McLaren have been on the rise as well. Ray and Kazis are one of the strongest lineups in the field, you've got to say, at the moment. They are looking on form as well, so got to look out for them. And I think because of that points rule, with the reserve drivers not being able to score, I think that officially classifies Alfa Romeo as out of the contention, because I don't think they can score enough points to be able to win this championship, unfortunately. So it is now just a four-way fight. Either way, though, what a great four-way fight we've got.
Exactly. So speaking of Alfa Romeo, we've got H Eagle, who scored some points last time out, who's one of the first drivers to set lap time. You pass Brooklands and into Luffield here as well. Such good sequence of corners. This used to be the start-finish straight heading up through here as well, just before 2009, which I do prefer actually as well. And you start through Cops Corner, but now turn 1 is through Abbey and into Farm Curb as well. But let us know in the chat which version of the track you prefer as well. I thought there's also the national layout as well. Plenty of layouts used in Silverstone as well in many series too, as H Eagle heads towards the Hangar Straight as well, where we can see a lot of overtakes at the moment as we head towards Stowe, as he's running out a bit of fuel there, but he probably will go out again as well. It is a dry session at the moment, but we'll see as he aborts his lap and goes into the pits. Never mind. I'll see if I can find someone else on a lap. We've got Jensen up to the line, who's in P3, where Menino in P2. Hascombe is top of the timing sheets with a 126.6. Cadiddle last week's pole sitter, 126.652, was really, really good in those wet conditions too, as Rudy heads towards the final few corners. One the men who could get P2 in the standings after a really good season so far. He needs to improve on the consistency though if he wants to do it tonight. P3 at the moment for him. We've got Tom. Where is he out on track at the moment? He's heading towards... Nope, he's going through the pit lane, but Markados can come across the line in P1. I have to say, Markados, one of the stars of the race last week, was really good in the wet conditions, to be honest. Was on tyres for quite a long time as well. Did not have the strongest of seasons. People think he did not deserve to be there, but to be honest, last week was one of his best races of the season, and he definitely proved why he did have the pace in this tier.
Yeah, he definitely did. Like you say, we mentioned it last time out. There are definitely a few drivers under pressure at the moment in this top division to really put in some strong performances so that they can hold on to their seat for next season. And Markados was one of those drivers under pressure. He really struggled, especially in the first half of the season. Second half of the season, he's had good quality performances, but never kind of done anything with it in the race. But last time out, like I say, in Kota, brilliant performance. One of the only drivers that was able to do the entire race on the same set of intermediate tyres without pitting. Of course, we saw at the end that wasn't the preferred strategy, but he still managed to get a top 5 result with that strategy that wasn't the favoured one. So brilliant drive last time out for Markados, and straight onto provisional pole in the early stages, beating the drivers as well. Obviously, it's only the first one of the session. There's still plenty of time to go within the session, but to be on the front of the grid ahead of the drivers like Asacombe, Kazissel and Rudy in qualifying especially is really, really strong, and it's making a good case for Markados that he could potentially hold on to this seat for next season.
Yeah, agreed. And most people have done their laps already, so it's very, very impressive as well. And come to the fact that he may have struggled in the first half of the game cycle because it's a brand new game, F1 22. Some people, even me, it just takes a while to just get used to the game. And maybe he's found his feet a little bit, and maybe he could be up there fighting for points regularly overall as well. And you never know, with the typical British weather, it could rain again, and it could have a really good effect on Markados' performance as well. But again, we'll have to wait and see. Another driver that's performed quite well this season as a reserve driver is Legend in P7. He won last week by quite a dominant fashion, and I can't remember how much he won last week, but he won quite a lot. He even pitted for fresh inters, and he still came out in the lead. That's how quick he was, and that came out to me as one of the most dominant performances I've ever seen in PS F1 history, and he's up there with many of the F1 greats as well. And you never know, he could challenge for PS F1 title next season with the likes of Danerka and Wouters. not going to be in PS next season. Another person to watch out for as well is Ray, who came into F2 midway through the season, won a race in Jeddah as well. He's about to start his first run in the McLaren as well, and maybe with a full season under his belt next season, maybe could he be the one to challenge for a title next season after a strong performance from him in F1 from midway through the season?
Yeah, you could definitely make a case for a lot of drivers, I feel like, to be front runners in the championship next season. Definitely, can't you? Like you say, Ray jumped into this season midway through, well, a few races in, and has been strong all the way through the season. It's very much a Santeri kind of season from Ray from last season, wasn't it? When Santeri joined very late into the season, but immediately was on the pace and won a race by the end of the season. So, yeah, Ray, really, really strong season he's had despite not competing in the full season. Rudy as well, he's missed a couple of races, but when he's been here, he's been very, very fast and has won races himself as well. Ogiano's been fast all season long, even though he doesn't quite have the points to show for that. Kaziza as well. I think Ray's kind of, unfortunately for Kaziza, I feel like Ray's outshone his teammate just a little bit because he's come into the top division and done so well. We kind of forget that Kaziza wasn't a full-time driver at the start of the season and then became a full-time driver and has done equally as well in the other McLarens. So if Kaziza and Ray stay as teammates for next season, potentially, if they're still in the same team, they look like a really, really strong pairing, and they've been strong all season long. But I've got to say, like I say, Legend last time out, such a dominant performance. If there's any sort of wet weather next season, it's fair to say that Legend will have one hand on that race victory already, because he's done it twice this season, hasn't he? In wet conditions, he's just so strong in the wet. I think he won that race potentially by over 20 seconds, if I'm not mistaken, and that was on a driver who didn't pit in that race, and he did. So he, on track at least, was about 2 seconds faster than pretty much anybody else. It was an absolutely ridiculous performance. So you've got to say, with any sort of weather playing a part next season, Legend is immediately one of the favourites.
Yeah, and I think certain drivers, I think we need to have a step up, like Mish, H. Eagle, Desso as well, potentially as well. Some people coming up from lower divisions as well may have a sniff at the F1 tier as well. Obviously, Frankie, who's just been crowned the F2 champion by default, obviously, due to the fact that Ricky did not show up. So congratulations, Frankie, if you're watching. And I can't wait to see how he does in the F1 tier next season, in season 32 as well. And I do believe that you will get promoted to F1. Usually it does happen, but there's some occasions where it does not. But 9 times out of 10 it does, and we could see the likes of Nando as well get promoted, and lots of other names as well in F2. So these guys in F1 that have been lower down in the championship will need to step up a little bit, as well as Louis. He heads towards Cops Corner, his second race after his race ban. Obviously he had 3 races where he had a race ban due to his pretty much questionable driving in one race this season. I can't remember which one it was. It might be in Monza. But Louis is heading towards the hangar straight as well. A few people coming up towards the line. We got, I believe, Williams, who will be coming up towards the line very, very soon. And that's Legend, who's got provisional pole position with a 126.439 as Louis then heads towards Vale and Club now, heading towards the Hamilton Straight, where I have booked tickets to see the Grand Prix next season, which is going to be very exciting. Up to the line, and it is P8 for the Aston Martin driver, just ahead of his teammate Namaya in P9. We got Markados again, 126.365. We got Markados' teammate, who's coming up to the line now. Let's see what he could do. He goes up into the line in P6, not too shabby for him. Next, we've got the Alfa Romeo. That is H. Eagle up to the line, who's about to start his flying lap as well. We got Kazizel as well, who's going into the pit. I'm just trying to see who will be next to be on a lap. Here we go. We got Brock going towards Chapel now as well. Brock's got got one pole position this season thus far as well, but really wants to get a win in the final race as well. Really wants to back his teammate a little bit for second in the drivers, and also to help win the constructors, the outright favourites at the moment. But if the 2 Mercedes drivers mess up, McLaren could have one hand on the constructors trophy. We have to do some maths, by the way, at the end, which is not going to be very nice. Anyway, Brock heading towards the Hamilton Straight, 126.591, 3 tenths quicker than his previous best, puts him in to P5. Still Markados in first. Legend and Rudy make up P2 and P3, and Ogiano in P4. We've got a Talent Factory 2, 3, 4. So those esports teams doing very well there. Of course, TF10 in P1 as Fede goes into the pits. We've got Brock's teammate Tom, who could get P2 in the drivers, coming towards the hangar straight now. That was almost an invalidation, but that wasn't as well. Tom has really come alive this season, hasn't he, since winning the F2 title last season. I did not think he was going to challenge for P2 in the drivers, but look, here he is at the moment, joint second in the drivers, and if any of his other rivals mess up, then pretty much he's got one hand on P2, and I have to say that is amazing from someone that's won the division that is lower. And that's good news if you're the likes of Frankie maybe next season. That could give you a sign of things to come.
Yeah, it definitely can't it? I think it's fair to say that the gap between F1 and F2 is much smaller than it has been in previous seasons gone, hasn't it? In recent games, at least, it's a much smaller gap. It just goes to show how competitive the PS side of things is at the moment. But yeah, Tom, from a championship win in the previous season straight into a fight for the second, and pretty much at the moment with a hand on runner-up in the championship, unless he doesn't score and Rudy wins the race. But obviously, that is going to have to take some sort of potentially a wild finish. Rudy's up there in third at the moment, but Tom is we know what Tom is like. Tom can very easily score points no matter what the track is. So yeah, it's going to take a bit of a disaster for Tom and an amazing race for Rudy to steal that second place in the championship. But either way, Tom has had an amazing season. Ray as well, as we mentioned, moving up from F2, has had an amazing season. So moving up from F2 into F1 isn't the worry that some drivers have maybe thought it was in the past, and you can be incredibly competitive moving straight up a division, even in the middle of a season. So yeah, there's going to be a lot to look out for next season for some drivers in the lower divisions, definitely, as well as some of the ones in this top part as well. And fair play to Marcos again. I mean, it was a great race last time out, but this is a really strong qualifying performance at the moment for Marcos. I kind of hope, I don't want to be biased, I never want to be biased as a commentator, but I would like to see him take pole position, because that would be another new pole sitter for the season. What would that make it? 7 pole sitters, I potentially believe, this season, if Marcos was able to hold it out of 11 drivers. And he's had such a difficult first half of the season that it would be nice to see him pick up a pole position, and that's something that he can use as a way to stake his claim on a seat for next season, definitely.
And the other pole positions, the 4 pole positions this season, went to Kazizel, so he's got the pole position award no matter what, and then the rest as the drivers have only got 1 pole position as well. So yeah, I would like to see a different pole position sitter, as it were, as well in this Grand Prix. And don't forget, this was the pre-season race as well for the beginning of F1 22. So this has come full circle, albeit the game was slightly faster. There was a no performance patch, so obviously the lap times will be a little bit slower compared to obviously what we're seeing right now. But this just gives an idea of who has improved a lot since the pre-season race in July, when we were commentating on PC and the PlayStation side as well, and who really is not performing up to their expectations. But hopefully we'll see most people improve really from the pre-season races as well. But we'll have to wait and see, because It'll had a little bit of a squirmy moment, and he's unfortunately invalidated his run. He's going into the pits, but Orgiano, he's fine on his run at the moment. We'll see if he improves going in towards sector 3, heading towards Stowe corner. If you on ride too much here, you'll invalidate, and he's going into the pits as well. So we just got Brock and Namsko, who is on an outlap. Namsko is the driver that is filling in for Philip Valters tonight, due to obviously Valters not being here, due to obviously previous commitments, of course. And then we got Romaninho, who is filling in for one of the Hasses tonight as well, which I'm trying to remember which one it is. It's Warren, VSR Warren, who can't make it tonight. So those are your reserves, as well as Legend filling in for the Williams. I think I would like to call Legend a full-time driver, technically, because he'd attended most races this season, to be fair. So I could definitely see him getting a full-time race seat this season. And speaking of next season, season 32 sign-ups open in the middle of this week for new drivers. And if you do drive for PlayStation or PC and interested in getting involved, then we will tell you all information about the dates towards the end of the stream. And if you have drove for us in season 31 and want to sign up, well, sign-ups are open for you now as well. Check the Discord, and you can sign up there as well. But if you haven't raced this season yet, you have to wait for a few days as well. And who knows, we could commentate on you next season. We have to wait and see, as we got a few people starting their laps once again. Let us know the poll time in the chat, and who do you think is going to get it, and will we get a different pole sitter, and or will we see the likes of Kazizel put a decent lap in again and just show what he's made of and why he is a pole sitter, not going to lie as well. But yeah, everyone's on their out laps again. Let's see what we could do. Menino can't improve though. He's down in 10th. But everybody else, I'm assuming, will go out for one final time.
Yeah, everybody out for one final time. I think Ogiano obviously bailed at the end of his last lap, but I didn't account for the amount of time it would get back into the pit lane. It's quite a slow pit lane here, and he's not going to be able to make it out onto the track either. So 5th is the best Ogiano is going to get out of this situation. Kazizel, by the way, cutting it very fine with the end of the session timer, so he may not make it to the line in time. We'll wait and see. I think Namsgo is the first person who's going to be able to complete a lap in this session in the Alfa Romeo, then filling in. I think potentially, is this for the first time this season? Was Namsgo potentially competing this first time this season? I'm not quite sure. I think that might be the case as he heads through Copse Corner. Nice and neat through there, not using a lot of the curb on the inside or the outside, keeping well away from track limits. Then through Maggots and Beckett's, trying to keep it as fast as possible, keep the momentum up, use the higher gears as well so that you're not sliding the rear. He's using the grass on the exit and he invalidates and he decides to drive straight into the wall as a consequence of that, which is a bit of a shame. But yeah, he wasn't up on his time anyway by that point of the lap, but he had invalidated, so that is a shame. So it will be Brock that's the next to finish a lap time, and he's only a couple of hundredths up, but at the moment that would put him up into the top 5 ahead of Ogiano.
Yes, exactly. So Brock got one pole position this season. Can he claim another one? Well, there's only one way to find out as he heads towards the Hamilton straight. Can he get pole from Markados here at the British Grand Prix? Nope, he can't. The only place he can manage is 6th. We've got a Ferrari come across the line. He can only manage 60th position. We've got a Red Bull of Fabi. He comes across the line into P8. We've got an Alfa Romeo. Who's that? We got H Eagle. Guess what? He has unfortunately invalidated. The current pole sitter then at the moment, the current shocker at the moment, he's not improving in the middle sector. He's got to find a miraculous final sector to really solidify his pole position then. Hamilton straight, the number 7 car, which is my number on this game as well, so it is a lucky number. He doesn't improve on his time, but he stays P1 for now. What can Legend do? Can Legend get pole? No! Legend cannot get pole. Asacombe, the man who has been pretty much at the top of most sessions at the start, but not quite at the end. Maybe this one, he could turn the tide here today at the British Grand Prix. He could potentially be the only man that can knock Markados off a pole position. Can he get pole? Nope, he can't. So we have a new pole sitter then for the final time this season. And it's a man you would not be expecting to get pole position. And I have to say, fair play to him. I like an underdog to do well in qualifying. And it is Markados, the man who did really well last week. Finished 4th. And he's done 3 places better now. And got pole today. Will he get the win tonight? It'll be great to see. Very unlikely because Legend is very fast behind him. Same with Asacombe and Rudy. But very, very impressive from Markados. And I have to say he's, again, like I said last week, he's proven the doubters wrong, including me.
Yeah, definitely. That's a really good, really strong pole position time, considering the competition he is up against. I mean, look at the 4 drivers directly behind him on the grid in Legend, Asacombe, Rudy and Ogiano. So fast. I mean, even Brock Jensen as well. That's a really strong performance. Strong performance as well from his Red Bull teammate in Fabi in P8. That's higher up than we've seen Fabi a lot of this season as well. That was a really strange end to qualifying. Do you know the only driver in the entire field that improved to their final one was Ray in the McLaren, and he ended up only 13th. Nobody else improved their final runs.
Exactly, so I'll run through your order very, very quickly then before we go into our ad break. We've got Markados, Legend, Asacombe, Rudy, Ogiano, Brock, Jensen, Fabi, Kazizel, your top 9, Romanino, your top 10, and as everybody else down to 20th place because we do not have time. And before we head to the race, let's have a quick word from our title sponsor, GT Omega. We will see you in just under 30 seconds. Hello everybody and welcome back to PSF1 Season 31, the final round of the season. Myself and Aidan Carter will be taking you through the final round here at Silverstone. No formation lap, of course, so we are about to get going. It's Markados on pole with Legend alongside, and it is a nice sunny day as well. Most people will be starting on the hard compounded tyres, it looks like, but we will see if it all changes. As for the final time this season, the 5 red lights are on. Who's going to get the best getaway off the line here for PSF1? Well, it is lights out, and away we go. It looks like Legend has got a better start than Markados, but Markados has got a better getaway then as we head towards Abbey now as well. Turn 3 is going to be very difficult in just a moment. Has Ascombe up in there as well, trying to get past Legend. We got Rudy going side by side with Oggiano, but Oggiano trying to make the best bit as well. Jensen trying to move up position as well, but not quite working at the moment. So on that one at the moment, Markados holding position. Legend in P2. We got some contact in the background between Deso and Namsco. They've had some issues, but everyone else has got a way through cleanly as well, as we got Brock and Jensen going side by side, heading towards Luffield and to Woodcote now as well. We got Fabi, who's had a good start as well. He's made up a few places. As there's been a spinner, Romanina, the other Haas, has had a bit of a spin, and the Haases are not having a good start to the race. It's 3 wide, heading towards Cops Corner, and Brock has had a bit of a spin, and that is not good for the Constructors title at all. The 3 wide into Cops just does not go, and that is the consequences of it, unfortunately. And he got a 10-second time penalty. That's a bit harsh at the moment. So it's Markados that leads, Legend into 2nd place, Ascombe 3rd, Rudy 4th, and Fabi in 5th place. 2 Red Bulls in the top 5, and good to see Markados holding position. As we got Louis Cazidle going side by side, heading towards Stowe Corner as well, as Cazidle heads on to the right hand side, but Louis covers to the left a bit as they head towards Vale, as Louis almost hits Jensen up in the background as well, but he is finding some more yellow flags in the background, as we've had Brock has had enough, Tom has had a bit enough as well. Both Mercedes not doing very well. We got McLaren's in 8th and 9th position, so that's looking good for them as the top 10 do score points, but good start from the top 2 there. Markados holding position.
Yeah, Markados holding position, like you say, good start from him. The top 4 relatively unscathed, everything else just kicking off behind. Yeah, really horrible start for the 2 Haas cars. Yeah, Romaninian having a bit of a moment. Oggiano spinning on his own as well from P5. So, yeah, real shame there. And, yeah, bad start to this race for Mercedes. Tom still down in 14th, hasn't been able to gain any places. And Brock now at the back in last, having to make a pit stop for a front wing change and onto the medium compound tyres that won't go to the end. So, not looking good at the moment for Mercedes in the manufacturers. As it stands, I think McLaren would still not quite jump them. But if they can get a little bit higher up, if they can get maybe 6th or 7th in this race instead of 8th and 9th, then it would go McLaren's way, because it's only 7 points between them. So, yeah, open door here for McLaren to steal the title at the very last race. That would be really, really intriguing to see at the end of this one. And yeah, Markados still leading the way from Legend in 2nd position. 2 Red Bulls in the top 5. That is the first time we've seen that this season, pretty much in any circumstance. It's really, really great to see. Can they hold it to the end? That would be very interesting. But yeah, great start to this race for Markados holding on to the lead. But Legend, you can see him behind, not using anywhere near as much ERS as our race leader, just sitting there, I think, waiting for the opportunities to come.
And I have to say, I have to agree with Luke in the chat. Luke Etheridge, of course. Alpine are also in a good position to win the Constructors. P4 and P6 respectively as well, which is very great to see. So Mercedes, who are looking like strong favourites, unfortunately, I gave them a little bit of a commentator's curse there, unfortunately, as they're down near the back as well. But that makes it a little bit more wide open as we got more battles in the background. We got Cazidle going side by side. That's very crucial with Louis there up into 7th position at the moment. Through down the Wellington Straight, where you can make some moves here as well. And don't forget, don't use too much battery here around Silverstone, because it's high speed around here. 70% can't be taken at full throttle, so you've got to manage your EOS effectively. That's why people won't be going for moves straight away, as unfortunately Deso is out of the race. He is retired in the pit lane. No safety cars though, which is great to see as well. DRS will be activated very soon, so that will be the chance for Legend to see if he can get past Markados heading towards Stowe. But Legend has got some good straight line speed as we head towards the next section at the moment, but he's also got some good cornering speed as well as he tries to close in on the Red Bull driver. Last week's race winner, he's making it, he wants to make it 2 in a row, and look at the closing speed he's got on that Red Bull driver. I don't think the Red Bull driver fought that one too much, so Legend is now your race leader with Markados in P2. Ascombe in P3, just hanging in there as well, as Ray goes side by side with H Eagle coming to 9th place. A little bit of contact there as well, but Ray just about manages to get the job done. Legend saying the fastest lap of the race so far, 1:30.5. I don't think he's won a race in the dry this season before, so maybe he can run a race in the dry today. Maybe he can prove he can win in the dry and the wet. We'll have to wait and see, but we'll see if Markados can try and do a similar move in a lap's time.
Yeah, we'll wait and see. It's amazing to think, isn't it, that Legend, other than our champion Denurko, is the only other multiple race winner this season, it seems. He's got 2 wins to his name at the moment, and he could make it 3, which would match Denurko, our champion, for race wins. That is how strong of a season Legend has had as a reserve so far. But yeah, I think for Markados here, I think it's fair to say for him, based on what we've seen so far this season, Markados' race pace isn't as strong as some of the drivers around him, so it might be smarter for him to just sit behind Legend and pull himself along, so that he's maybe a bit safer for a top 5 finish later on in the race if the pack does get split up. There's no point in fighting these moves too hard this early in the race. It's only going to cost you later on, as Kazizal almost proved, because he dropped out of DRS the last lap, but he's managed to get himself back within DRS range of Jensen this time around, although he's used a lot of DRS to get there. He's nearly dropped Louis in the process, and Ray is already deracing as he desperately tries to get back within DRS range of Louis in front, but he's being attacked at every corner by H equals Namaya has had a spin in the Aston Martin further down the field, so not a great race so far for the Aston Martin driver either. But yeah, because Zizzle's managed to get himself back in DRS range, but by making that move on Louis and pushing as much as he had, he's kind of left his teammate in the dust a little bit, and Ray currently in 9th position. It's going to be a struggle to get back within that range with the little amount of DRS that he has.
We still got some maths to do for the Constructors' Championship, but it's looking quite close between McLaren and Alpine at the moment, but you never know. Mercedes could hang it in there if there's a safety car or something like that, but it looks like with a McLaren scoring points, I don't think Mercedes will win, because obviously they're tied on points for McLaren anyway, which is a bit of a shame, but that is what incidents could cause in lap 1, which possibly could hinder your potential chances at the moment as well. Brought the only driver on to means he pitted quite early on. He's the only one who's not really in that train, unfortunately, so he's got a lot of work to do to make his way up. But again, like we said, safety cars could play a massive factor, but again, he will need to pit because those mediums won't last until the end of the race. If he pitted onto hards, well, if he started on mediums and pitted onto hards, the hards could get to the end quite comfortably, but definitely not the medium compounded tyres. There's hardly to little tyre wear on these hard tyres, but they're just so good around this track. I've driven around this track on the hard tyres, and I could be on similar pace as I am on the medium tyres, as Rudy has got some nice speed on Ascombe then, but again, he's saving on his ERS, has not going to get past on this lap. Fasilio trying to get past Ogiano, H Eagle trying to get past Ray there down the inside into Stowe corner, as we've got Ray has had a bit of a spin then in Stowe, and hopefully his car does not get beached. His car is not beached, as he's going to go, I think, into the pits potentially. Yes, he is going into the pits. He may have picked up a little bit of damage, or his tyres may be a bit skewy at the moment. So unfortunate for Ray as well, which and that's for tyres. And then we're now down to one McLaren driver then for the Constructors, but no harm done at the moment because both Mercedes drivers are not in the points yet. So McLaren can still hold it back, but that opens the door for Alpine even more as well. Alpine will be absolutely loving this with their cars 4th and 6th position right now, and I wonder if the teammates will be working well together and be in the party saying, look, one of the McLaren is out of the running, let's just keep finishing this race and we can score some decent points. Obviously, Rudy being the number 1 driver, you've got to really count in some situations for your number 2 driver. Obviously, brought down in 18th, that's not going to work. Tom in 11, that's not going to work. Rudy's got to really count on Jensen for this one as well, but Jensen's had some really strong showings as well, but again lacking the consistency. But if Jensen can really get a good result, maybe that could seal the Constructors for Alpine. You never know, but again, we will be doing the maths very, very, very soon, so do not worry about that. Markados does not get past Legend on this lap. He's saving on his ERS, so he will challenge in the next few laps or so as well. Same with Rudy on Ascombe.
Yes, and really, like you say, Rudy looking pretty strong at this point of the race. Fabi's just struggling now to keep with his top 4. He's burnt a lot of his ERS trying to keep up. But in the process as well, we almost dropped Jensen, and Kazizal is still struggling to keep up with this top 6 as it stands. I'm doing the very quick maths in my head when it comes to the manufacturers at the moment. If the race were to end like this, McLaren would win the manufacturers by 2 points over Alpine as it stands. So Mercedes would drop to 3rd if it finished like this. So yeah, not really what they would have wanted. Of course, Ferrari will get 1 point on the board as well, but that's just not enough at the moment. The 1 point on the board for them is not enough to counter, unfortunately, the rest of the points that these drivers will be getting. So yeah, Ferrari, it's not looking good at the moment for Ferrari, unfortunately. P10 for Misha at the moment is just not enough to seal the title as it stands. So we've got to keep an eye on what they are doing. Legend then still leading the way. Marquez is using a lot of his ERS to keep up. So I thought Marquez would be saving ERS at this point in the race, staying behind Legend, but it doesn't seem to be the case. He's burning quite a bit. So I think that suggests to me that Legend is just playing faster and Marquez is having to push to keep up rather than sitting in behind and saving like we're seeing Asacombe do currently in P3. So I fear here if Marquez does drop out of DRS range, that Legend is, like he did in Kota, just going to disappear up the road. So yeah, Asacombe, if that does happen, Asacombe will want to be fast. He want to be fast on the back of Marquez and get through as quickly as possible, because Asacombe this season, we've been talking about Asacombe all season long. He's been such a feature at the front of this field. It's been such a strong season, but he's still yet to win a race. It feels like he's, if you looked at where he was at the start of the season and then talked about the future, you would have expected a couple of race wins out of Asacombe this season. He's been so fast. It's just never come to fruition. He's finished on the podium a few times, but never won. So yeah, Asacombe will be desperate to try and win for the first time this season in the final race of the championship to cap off what has been such an improved season from him over the previous. So yeah, we'll wait and see. But yeah, you can see Marquez now 9/10 back, is really teetering on the edge of losing DRS range to Legend, who is now burning his ERS that he had to try and break that DRS gap.
Yes, indeed. And I think Asacombe has got more ERS to use than Marquez at the moment up front. So Asacombe, I think, has been a bit more manageable with his ERS, and it does really come down to experience. Asacombe has been in the PSF1 tier for pretty much 2 seasons now. This is obviously season 31 and last season as well, and to be honest, has come to his own as well in terms of what experience he has got in the top tier, whereas Marquez is his first full season in the top tier. Last season he was in PSF3. So again, really he needed something to work on a little bit as well, and you can see the experience level, the skill level compared to the drivers, and I don't think Marquez is going to challenge either. I'm a bit surprised. I thought Marquez would have fought that one too much, but again, he doesn't want to get involved in too much trouble as Asacombe is into P2. I think Marquez has been a bit more, cautious this race, and he's been a lot better this season towards the end of the season in terms of his racecraft, and that's helped him a little bit. But Asacombe now on similar ERS to the likes of Rudy as well. So he's now on 43%. I'm just looked at Marquez's ERS even briefly, and he was on around about 13%. So that's how pushing too much ERS can hinder you and stay out of DRS to the likes of Legend, and Legend will be absolutely loving this right now as well. People will be thinking about going into the pits around about 6 or 7 laps time. Of course, nobody, I believe, started on the medium compounded tyres apart from the ones who pitted due to damage. Of course, most people, pretty much everyone who started on the hards, it was not a surprise because we saw the guys in PSF2 do that as well. As we're going to see the battles unfold. It's gone a bit quiet at the moment, hasn't it? But we are starting to see Jensen and Kazidel and Louis start to close up as well. We got that DRS train, and we've got H Eagle catching up as well. But they may start to go for moves as soon as the pit window opens, I think.
Yeah, as soon as it opens, you're going to say somebody going to come in quite early, because tyre wear is not really much of a factor around this track. It's not too hard on tyres, so you're going to see a lot of people pitting probably around the midway point for a set of medium compound tyres, as Marquez now falling into the clutches of Rudy in P4, who's looking strong, but the top 4 have now completely dropped Fabi in P5. He's really struggled in these later laps, and the Red Bulls, great start to the race, but they are just now, as the pace starts to kick in, they are just now starting to lose touch, unfortunately, with the leaders of this race. So kind of maybe expected, as we've seen from Red Bull this season. They've just not had the race pace, but either way, still a strong showing for them if they can hold on to some sort of points finish from this race, as Tom has managed to get past Mish and up into 10th place, and that is a point on the board for Mercedes. So that moves them now officially, if it were to end like this, ahead of Ferrari, because they are level on points coming into this race. That would officially move them ahead of Ferrari in the manufacturers, and I think because this was only scoring 4 points at the moment, that of course is not enough to close down the 7-point gap. So it would actually be Mercedes that would pick the title up, even if Tom only scored 1 point at this present moment. But with the way things are looking, I don't think Rudy is done with this race, and neither is Jensen. So Alpine, at the moment, you've got to say, looking more of a threat for this title than anybody else. And what a story that would be for Alpine, wouldn't it, to come into this championship, into the final round of this championship, 4th in the manufacturers, and to leave it winning. That would be some sort of performance from Alpine if they were able to pull that off. And I tell you what, I think we're only a few corners away from Rudy nabbing a spot on the podium here.
Yeah, definitely. And I have to say, again, another underdog story. The team who started P4 that could still mathematically win it as well. I didn't think they would mathematically win it here tonight because obviously Jensen not being consistent, but Jensen doing a lot better around this track, knows what he needs to do. As Rudy, again, very comfortable as well from him up into P3 then as well. And I wonder if Jensen is going to do the same on the 2 Red Bulls. The first Red Bull he's going to try and get past is Fabi then in P5 right now, who's both Red Bulls have had a strong performance, but Markados is going to hope that his teammate could hold up Jensen a little bit to make sure Alpine do not score any more points. We'll have to wait and see. So at the moment then, Alpines and McLarens are looking like they're on the fight. Constructors, Mercedes still hanging in there as well, because it all needs to move up 1 place from Jensen to stay in this fight as well then. So pretty much it could go either way. All 3 teams have led the Constructors at 1 point in this race so far in terms of the points as it stands at the moment then. So that is quite intense at the moment. And as it stands as well, with Rudy needing to pick up a win I believe, to take second place. Yep. Rudy has not done enough so far to get second. Rudy will get third though. Tom, just by scoring, will be getting second place in the Drivers' Championship, which is not the way he would have wanted to get second, but he's got to finish the race. If he DNFs, Rudy could have a chance of getting second place in the Drivers' Championship as well, which will be a really good story for the F3 champion from last season. We've had 2 champions in the tier that have done incredibly well. Again, just to highlight there's not much of a skill gap. And Rudy, I'm just looking at Rudy's ERS. He has got no ERS. He used all that ERS to try and close up to the Red Bull drivers.
Yeah, it's, like you say, using it up so much to try and close in, but you just can't close in on the top 2 at the moment. But yeah, Asacombe, though, crucially has been able to get that gap down to our race leader and has managed to catch up to Legend. So Legend hasn't completely dropped this field. Asacombe is still within a good shot. And one thing Markados has done in that series of events is he's not burnt all of his ERS trying to defend. He's still got a little bit in his back pocket. That means on the straights, he's not derating. And what that is doing is, while he's not able to challenge the 3 in front, he's not falling back to the drivers behind. He is keeping a solid gap back to 5th place in Fabi at the moment. So that's kind of solidifying a P4 at the moment for Markados if everything is to stay in order. There's no sort of safety car intervention or penalties as such, as we've seen our first 2 drivers in for a pit stop in this race, which is a scheduled pit stop. Yeah, Kazezel in at the end of lap 11 for a set of medium compound tyres. That is very early in this race because Kazezel going for an aggressive undercut, trying to get track position so that he can try and clinch this manufacturers for McLaren. So yeah, if Tom now up to 8th, Tom managed to pass H. Eagle in that last lap as well. So Tom's actually playing the long game here. He didn't have a good start to this race, but everybody in front of him is pushing so hard that barely any of them have any ERS left in the back pocket. And Tom has got a little bit more than some of the drivers around him. So he is slowly creeping his way forwards in this race and is going to become a factor later on. So yeah, definitely keep an eye out for Tom. He could still seal this for Mercedes, even though Brock is at the back of the field, unlikely to score points in this race. So a lot still to happen in this one, as Asacombe now from second place is into the pit lane for an early pit stop at the end of lap 12. The medium tyres should go to the end. They're not going to be the fastest by the end of this race, but they should go to the end. That's a very interesting strategy call from Asacombe. He's clearly wanting the lead of this race. Does he think he can get enough of a gap to Legend to break DRS by the time Legend's tyres are up to temperature after he pits?
There's a 3-point gap between Asacombe and Rudy in the Drivers' Championship. So Asacombe could get ahead of Rudy to get third, potentially, in the Drivers' Championship, if Rudy has a bit of a mare as well. So this is crucial for Rudy then. What is he going to think of doing when he saw the likes of Asacombe pitting? Is he going to be doing an aggressive overcut strategy and be a risk to the tyre warm-up being a little bit of an issue on this game on the first 3 laps, but then being a lot faster towards the end of the race? Or would you pit now and take the threat from the undercut easily and be a pretty much similar pace? We'll have to wait and see from Rudy. He knows the situation win for the constructors and the drivers as well. So he's got a lot to think about for the Alpine team as well. But Legend has got nothing to lose at the moment. He is a reserve driver. He's just fighting for fun at this moment in time as well. He's also technically in that third place fight. Even though he's a reserve driver, he can technically still get third in the Drivers' Championship, believe it or not, as Legend has passed the pit lane. Rudy has too. Marcados as well. Louis has as well. We got Ogiana that's got past Fede as Tom goes into the pit lane. So has Louis as well. Pretty much most of the midfield runners are coming into the pit. I wonder if Namaya is going to do the same. Nope, he is staying out at the moment. So there you go. So a lot of the midfield runners pitting are front runners though. Still staying out and not seeing the huge threat out of Asacombe then. So we'll see if Asacombe's undercut strategy has paid off right now. We'll see what I think the leading medium runner could do as he exits the pit lane.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting here because one thing to note, I think that proves the point because this is the fastest lap of the race as you would expect on a fresh set of medium compound tyres. One thing I think the leaders have missed here is Kazizel has jumped this entire train by coming a lap earlier. He's jumped Jensen and Fabi in a one-lap undercut and has now dropped the likes of Tom and Louis quite massively. So Kazizel's gained a net 2 places already in this pit stop phase, and with Rudy Marcados and Legend staying out a lot longer, it's not out of the question that when the likes of Legend, Rudy and Marcados come out the pit lane, Kazizel could latch onto the back of them and then join this lead train battle. So an early pit stop for Kazizel, while he may suffer a little bit later on, at the moment at least, he has gained himself another 2 places in this race, which puts him a net P5 in this race, which is, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, P5 is 6 points. So he would be 1 point away from jumping Ferrari in this championship all on his own at the moment, as in comes Legend and Marcados. Rudy stays out though. Rudy continuing on. He is clearly going for the better tyres for the end of the race. He wants as fresh a tyres as possible at the end of this one so he can go all guns blazing at the end of this race. We'll wait and see if it can pay off, but out there with no ERS and no DRS help around him, he's going to be pretty slow on this lap, and I fear he's going to lose quite a lot of places. We'll see where Marcados comes out in relation to the likes of Asacombe and Kazizel, but I think here it's going to be a bit of a worry that Kazizel was actually that close to the back of Asacombe coming out of the pit lane, as I think Asacombe's got this lead covered going through turn number 1, potentially.
Yeah, so we'll see what Asacombe can do through Abbey, and yeah, that is definitely the race lead from Legend then as well, and Legend's going to struggle with his tyre warm-up as well, but we'll see if he can be faster towards the end of the race. Marcados got ahead of Kazizel then as well, but I think he's struggling with the tyre warm-up just a little bit more, but he's using a lot of his ERS to try and make sure that he can stay ahead of Kazizel, which is a little bit of a mistake, I think, from him, because we know that Kazizel's going to try and save some ERS, but you never know, anything can happen. But I'm wondering, the top 3 staying out on those hard tyres, I wonder if they're praying for a late safety car, because safety cars can be quite common around Silverstone in league races. We've seen it in the other tiers on PC and PlayStation, as Rudy is not going to pray for a safety car because he's coming into the pit right now, and we're going to see if the overcut strategy that has paid off as well, and I wonder if Namaya's going to do exactly the same thing. So we've got Asacombe then, who's calling off a really good gap over Legend as well. Could we see Asacombe take his first win of the season? He's got quite a few second places. He got a second place in Austria and also Belgium as well. He's got a third place in Mexico and in one of the Italian races as well. But that was it. He hasn't got close to a race win all season since the latter half of the season then, as Asacombe makes his way through turn number 1. Rudy just coming out of the pit lane. Asacombe and Legend, I believe, have got ahead of him, but he has got ahead of Marcados. That's the crucial thing. So Marcados' pretty much outlap then did not pay off, whereas Rudy makes sure that his inlap was perfect. But Marcados has got the warmer tyres. He's looking like he's going to get past Rudy on the Wellington straight, but he's using up too much of the ERS, so I wonder if that's going to hinder him towards the end of the race. He's trying to go for a move that not many people would go for with that little space, heading past into Brooklands, and Marcados has got past Rudy for now. up into 5th place. But for how much longer? Because Izzle is going to try and make sure he does exactly the same thing, but to no avail, actually. And I wonder if Rudy is going to try and warm up his tyres a lot better, as I think it takes about a lap for the mediums to warm up, a few laps for the hard compound tyres to warm up as well. So Markados, good move there. Took advantage of Rudy not warming his tyres up to temperature just yet. But when Rudy's warmed up his tyres, I think Rudy's going to try and get Markados.
Yeah, definitely. I think Rudy should get through Markados fairly soon. In fact, he's potentially going to look for a move down towards Stowe. Is he going to be close enough into the corner? He's going for the inside line. He'll have the inside line for the corner. And again, Markados decides not to fight that one and lets Rudy go. So Rudy up into P5, which is a net P3 in this race. Namaya and Namsco are definitely staying out, hoping for a safety car, or they're potentially just going to pit for soft compound tyres as Legend sets the fastest lap of the race on a 28 flat. Legend's managed to get back within DRS range of Asicombe. Saving grace here for Rudy. Obviously, he's 3 seconds off our net leaders at the moment now, but he has got the fresher tyres. Asicombe's tyres are 3 laps older, so they're obviously going to hit a window in performance before Rudy's does. If Rudy is fast enough in clean air, he could catch them, the likes of Asicombe and Legend, while they're still battling and still fight for the win of this race. But the problem is he's got no ERS in which to use to try and do that. So he's going to be incredibly slow on the straights. So that is the one thing holding Rudy back. But he's going to hope that Asicombe's tyres do fall off the later we get into this race and he can capitalise on that. Markados now has got to do what he did in the early parts of this race and just latch onto the car in front and try and drag himself along. But immediately on the medium compound tyres, Markados is not looking as comfortable as we saw earlier on in this race. And crucially for him, Kazizel, Fabi and Jensen with their earlier stops have managed to get back within DRS range of Markados, so that of course is not going to help either. So lots of things to look out for the latter part of this race as to who can keep up and who can do what for the latter stages of this race. Tom at the moment as well was in penalty range of Louis, so that's another place for Tom, and that would at the moment secure the manufacturers for Mercedes, and it would secure second place in the championship for Tom as well.
Yeah, exactly. Tom just needs to score pretty much as well, so he will need to try and get past Louis ASAP, but with the penalty range, like you said, he should be absolutely fine as well. So pretty much everybody from P3 downwards have made a pit stop. Brock will need to pit again because those mediums won't last very long, so Brock will be expected to be going on to the soft compounded tyres. The only 2 drivers yet to make a pit stop is Namaya and Namsco. I won't be too surprised if they will go onto the soft compounded tyres. If they pit around about lap 19, 20, I would say, the soft tyres will be just about doable for them as well. They only last about 7 or 8 laps, don't forget, as well. And if they use about 3 soft tyres, they're only going to have 1 for the race then, and you never know what could happen as Namaya, even though he's up front in the race lead, he's used all ERS just by staying ahead as well, and that is a danger as well when it comes to being stuck in traffic later on, as we got Ogiano and Mish having a battle there in towards Woodcote at the moment, as Ogiano just gets past Mish there very nicely indeed, up into 13th position as Brock goes into the pit, and he also goes onto the soft tyres as expected to the end of the race. He's going to be a bit patchy towards the end, but he's going to try and go for fastest lap for the Bants, and to be honest, that could help in a way, because the top 10 could try and go for fastest lap, and that could make a difference in the constructors. If you're outside the top 10, you don't get the fastest lap point, but you could steal the fastest lap from someone inside the top 10, and that can make a massive difference. So Brock, very good technique as well. If you have teammates outside the top 10 potentially, could you go for the same tactic? Well, you can't if you're McLaren, because there's one McLaren out of it, as Namaya goes into the pit lane onto, I think, a set of the soft tyres. Yes, it is a set of the soft compounded tyres as expected to the end of the race, and we'll see if he can also go for fastest lap. So it's just Namsco to pit, and then Asicombe will be your race leader. It's gone a bit overcast at the moment. It's not as sunny as it was towards the start of the race then as well, so track temperatures will be a lot cooler, but we will see what happens. Legend has found some pace all of a sudden on Asicombe, maybe because Asicombe has not been helped by slower Namsco on much worn tyres as well, as Legend had a little bit of a squirm there through Woodcote as well. Luckily he didn't spin there as well. Asicombe must be very frustrated being stuck by Namsco, because he knows that Legend could get past him ASAP.
Yeah, definitely could, and I think we're already starting to see the effects of tyre wear here, because look at Kazizel. Kazizel cannot keep up with Rudy and Markados in front, and Markados' tyres are 3 laps younger, Rudy is 4 laps younger, and Kazizel was just completely falling off the back of them now and is into the clutches of Fabi. So yeah, I think we're already starting to see that effect of tyre wear as Asacome and Legend.
Wow.
Look at that. Down the inside, Legend's going to do a Hakkinen style move down the inside and get past Asacome and Namsco in one opportunity. So lovely move there from Legend, and he is up into the lead of this race, and that is now a worry as well to this for Asacome. Asacome, of course, his tyres 2 laps older than Legend, and he's not really been able to use the undercut advantage to get far enough ahead of Legend to rule him out of contention for this win. So it's going to be a ding-dong fight between the two of them, but Asacome is now definitely on the back foot, and crucially as well, with that move, Namsco having to back off, Rudy is in DRS range of Namsco, and that's only going to help him get closer and closer to this front too. Rudy is looking more and more like a threat for the win of this race.
Yeah, but he is at the moment. That could definitely help him in the Constructors fight as well. So the more positions he gains, the more that it helps for them to do well in the Constructors fight as well. In terms of Rudy, his teammate Jensen is in 8th position, so he's still scoring some decent points as well. But look at this, Rudy's tyres is a lot fresher compared to like a Namsco, and that is definitely showing at this moment in time. And Markados is starting to wheel these guys in as well, as we've got Namsco not really fighting this one that much. He's gone a bit wide through into Cup's corner, and you say, you know what, are you on the fresher tyres? I'm not. There's no point me fighting because I'm going to have to pit soon. So Rudy is up into 3rd position, and I wonder if it's going to be too little too late for Rudy, or will the fresher tyres help at the moment. So as it stands, Mercedes are still looking on course to win the Constructors Championship with the way as it stands. So obviously Tom scoring 1 point, because it's all in 6th place at the moment. Rudy in 3rd and Jensen in 8th position. But 2nd and 3rd place is hotting up very, very quickly. And it's definitely not helping with only one McLaren there as well, because McLaren could drop down to 3rd in the Constructors as well. And don't forget reserves, they do not score points in the Constructors Championship. So obviously we got both Ferrari and McLaren out of it in terms of their reserves anyway. But yeah, reserves do not score points for the Constructors. So if you're Williams, you're going to hope that you could get Legend for next season, because he's absolutely loving life up front once again. So no safety cars, touch wood, at this moment in time. They're all keeping it relatively clean. The only issues we've had, I think, is the first couple of laps of the race. Everybody else is just being hanging in there right now, probably because they've been so used to this track at the start of the game. They've been racing in it in pre-season as well. They know the characteristics of the track as well. They've raced in other leagues such as SRC, for example, which is a team event. So they have an idea of what they could do around this track. So again, not really that surprising to see no safety car right now.
Yeah, not really surprised. Like you say, we're so used to this track at this point that it's pretty easy for a lot of the drivers in the field to get up to speed and not make mistakes at the circuit, because this is the next one to go past Namsco, who is just running out there for the sake of it now, hoping for a safety car that will get him into play. But Namsco staying out on the track really, really hurt Markados' race. He got stuck behind the Alfa Romeo for half a lap, and it's dropped him completely out of range of Rudy now, and Kazizel could have a run back at the Red Bull as now Fabi gets round the outside of Namsco at the Vale Club chicane and gets the move done. So while it hurt one other Red Bull, it hurt one Red Bull, it's helped the other, as Jensen gets past and almost spinning Namsco throughout the final corner. That Alfa Romeo's tyres are completely shot. I mean, he might not be far off puncture range at this point, but he is just staying out, hoping for something to happen that will cause a safety car. But the way things are looking, it's almost looking like Namsco will be the safety car cause himself, because he's got no pace at all. As Jensen's picked up a 5-second penalty. That was for going off the track and passing Namsco, but Namsco was completely out of control when doing that, so
that could
I would not be surprised. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Jensen's able to get that penalty removed.
Yeah, as Tom, that's another position gained for Tom, so that puts Mercedes on 101 points now for him, maybe even more if Tom, because obviously Jensen and Louis' penalty as well. So that's helping Mercedes' cause even more, and not helping Alpine's cause at this moment in time. And yeah, I'm just looking at Namsco's tyres. He is pretty much a closing speed is a lot slower compared to his teammate as well. I don't know what he's hoping for. It's starting to get a bit darker at the moment. Maybe there could be a threat of rain. Be careful, Namsco. He's sliding everywhere, even though there could be a threat of rain. As oh wow, we've got both the Haas and the Alfa Romeo getting past Namsco. So is Fusilio as well. in the back of them as well. So yeah, Navsco is gonna really much lose his own battle here as he goes into the pit. I think he's got oh that's cruel. I think he's got a puncher. Because he was trying to go into the pit and then the game reset itself and he's back on the track again. I'm not entirely sure if he's got a puncher, but it does look like it. That is a shame for Namsco. He's now down to 16th place, and that's just a risk of staying out far too long as well. So don't make your hard tyres last 22 laps because it's well, it could be possible, but only if you pit like lap 4, lap 5.
Yeah, it's definitely not worked for Namsco, has it, at all? Yeah, front left puncture for the Alfa Romeo, so that's just going to get worse as the lap goes on. And yeah, that is really cruel. That is such a shame, but that is just kind of part of the draw of things, isn't it? And he chose to stay out on those tyres for that long, as Brock at the back of the field has had a spin all by himself as well. So not a great race again for Brock. One person who's having a great race is Rudy, who's in 3rd position and is on the back of this train for the lead now. So he is properly within this fight for the win of the race. He's managed to catch them, but he's got no ERS to fight with now that he's got there. So he's going to have to hope for Legend and Asacombe to start fighting one another so that he can capitalise on it. Marcados at the moment is just clinging on to a 4th position in this race, and it could be his 2nd, 4th position in a row in this race if he can hold on to it, because Izzle just doesn't have the tyre grip to get any closer to the back of that Red Bull. So yeah, because Izzle in 5th at the moment, doing all he can, but the retirement for his teammates really put McLaren on the back foot, unfortunately, in this race. And again, we've got to put a mention, we haven't really talked about him much again so far in this race, but Fabi, P6, doing a brilliant job, actually has managed to go up from where he qualified rather than down. He started 8th, he's up to 6th. It's been a great race from Fabi, and Fabi was another one that was kind of on the chopping block coming into this part of the season. He hadn't really shown much pace, he'd really struggled throughout the season, but this is again another really strong performance from Fabi at the end of the season, and the 2 Red Bulls now are really starting to come on strong, maybe a bit late into the season, but still great to see them starting to put some performances together now that we're coming towards the end of this championship, and 2.5 laps to go in this season. Can Asacombe steal a race victory from Legend at the end? Will Legend win his 3rd win of the season, or will Asacombe finally get his 1st win of the season?
So the only person to win 3 races this season is Danerco, as Namsco is out of the race, as he's given up there, is to be expected, to be honest. So we're here for the final few laps of season 31, and we can see a lap that will go down to the wire between Asacombe and Legend. Asacombe could get his 1st win of the season, as Tom gets past another driver up into P8 at the moment, but he will be, I think, a net P7, but he's got to try and fight Jensen anyway, because Jensen may get that penalty removed as well, and Rui technically is in that fight for the race victory as well, but it won't be enough to get P2 in the drivers, but it will be enough to get P3 in the drivers as well. As it stands, lap 25 of 26, 4/10 is the gap between Legend and Asacombe. Can Asacombe do it? I think he's just saving a bit for the final lap, but he's not saving his ERS, I have to say. He wants to try and close in on Legend so he doesn't lose out on DRS. Rudy, on the other hand, he's saving like no tomorrow right now on 38%. Legend, he's got a lot to play with, 51%. So as soon as Asacombe closes in on him, he could use his ERS in plenty of moments throughout these final half of the race. So for us, we hope that Asacombe has got something saved up his back pocket, but for Legend, this could be a history in the making where he could get his 2nd race win in a row and to equal Danerco's race wins this season.
Yeah, it could be a really strong performance. Asacombe is burnt all of his ERS getting to the back of the Williams now, so it's going to be even harder for the Alfa Tauri to get this move done. I think we see so many times in DRS trains that people wait to the last lap to try and get a move done, but because they've waited so long, they've missed their window, they've missed their opportunity, and they end up not getting the move done. And I fear Asacombe maybe has done the same here. He's saved up some ERS waiting for the last lap of the race, and the last lap of the race has come, and the opportunity's not there for him. He's not taken the opportunity when it was there. So I feel like Asacombe here is going to have to rely on a mistake from Legend, and we know what Legend's like. That is very unlikely to happen. So as it looks right now, Legend is going to take home his 3rd win of the season, and to match our champion in wins for the season, and to be the only other driver other than our champion to win multiple races in this season is such a strong performance from a reserve driver. Nonetheless, this is if the performance in the wet last time out was anything was anything to show what we could see from Legend next season in the wet conditions, this is proving in the dry, Legend can be just as strong and just as dominant. So yeah, really, really strong race again from Legend. And now Asicom's actually got to look behind him at Rudy, because Rudy's trying to steal that second place finish away from Asicom at the end of this race. As yeah, looking at things right now, Mercedes have, with Tom in 8th place, have secured this second place in the championship, it seems. This first place, sorry.
I was going to say, it's not second place in the championship. Tom has secured second place in the driver's standings. I think that's what you probably were meant to as well. But I think it's too little too late, I think, for Asico to try and go for a move on Legend due to the fact that he was burning too much ERS. But he's, I think, under pressure from Rudy going through Stowe Corner as well. It could be a battle to the wire here as Rudy's got P2 heading through there. But can Asico fight back right now as we're going to ride on board with Legend right now as he heads towards the final corners? There's been contact from Cadizo, unfortunately. Legend matches Danerka on wins this season to take his second win in a row. Rudy takes second. Asicom takes third. Margados, another strong performance for him, fourth. Not quite enough to get the win, unfortunately, but still I have to say he can go to the end of the season with his head held high. Fabian fifth. Tom in sixth, and that will confirm second place in the drivers for Tom and also the constructors for Mercedes. Congratulations to Tom and Brock. To be honest, Tom carried the team tonight, but I'm sure Brock will be very happy with that. And then we got Ogiano, H. Eagle and Jensen. I didn't see who was 10th there, so yeah, congratulations to Mercedes there as well. And obviously, with McLaren not scoring much at all due to Cazidle's spin, that may mean Ferrari will get second or even Alpine, but we will do the math very, very soon. Tom gets driver of the day as well. Good comeback driver as well as finished sixth, but there may be penalties to be removed, obviously, from Jensen, of course. But yeah, watch out for Legend, because I think, touch wood, he can be a championship contender next season, but I think I may have just jinxed him. I'm so sorry, Legend, but yeah. Well, if you end off the season great, then you're definitely going to be a threat for season 32. He will be one to watch.
He definitely will. I want to stay one step further, and rather than say that he's one of the title people to look out for, I feel like Legend's going into next season as the favourite because of the performances he's put in at the second half of this season as a reserve driver to be this strong this season. I think Legend's the favourite going into next season for the title with the performances he has put down. Again, another strong performance. His first win in the dry conditions rather than the wet, but to be able to do both is so strong in a season like this. That's brilliant. And I'm just thinking about constructors' points right now. If Jensen does get that penalty removed, then I believe that Ferrari will come home in second in the championship by 1 point over Alpine, I believe, as it stands. I think they were 18 points behind going into this, were Alpine behind Ferrari, and with Jensen in sixth, which is where he crossed the line, and Rudy in second, that's only 17 points for the team. So that would put them 1 point behind Ferrari in third position, and McLaren would drop to fourth. When you would say that McLaren were one of the ones looking like they could have come into tonight as the favourites.
Exactly. So that is your order then from Legend, Rudy, Asco, Margados, Fabi, Tom, Ogiano, H. Eagle, Jensen and Caniddle are your final point scorers of the season. The final race of season 31 is done and dusted. What a season it has been. We had Danerka that has been crowned the champion, Mercedes the constructors champion, Legend his second race win in a row, no safety cars, dry weather all the way through. I think it could have been even more crazy, but at least most people drove very, very clean tonight as well. And I think a few people have probably just secured their spots for PSF1 next season. Some people will probably be a bit worried when placements go out for whether they're going to be in F1 or not. But again, we will obviously have to wait and see. At least they don't have to do evaluation races because obviously they did a full season. But I'm guessing the ones near the bottom will be going into next season feeling a little bit worried now.
Yeah, definitely. They're definitely going to go into the season feeling a bit worried. I think you can look to drivers like the Williams pair that we've had for this season as people that have really struggled. Fusilo, one of those who was so strong last season in season 30, had really, really great performances, but it's just not come together for Fusilo this season. He's just not enjoyed it and not looked strong. So I feel like he's one of those drivers that could be potentially moving down. However, I think these last two races, to me, have secured Marcados' pace in F1 next season, I would say. I think coming into the final three races of the season, he definitely looked like he was out of his depths a little bit in this championship. but he's put some really strong performances together to cap off the season. So yeah, Marquinhos definitely, I think, has secured his spot. We'll see about Fabi in the other Red Bull, but that is by far Fabi's best performance of the season with a P5 finish here, and 2 Red Bulls in the top 5, a great way for them to cap off what's been a difficult season as a team. So yeah, it's going to be difficult. I'm not envious of the organisers' positions here in trying to sort this out, because there are a lot of drivers who can make a claim for being in this top division once everybody's moved to PC and people have moved away from the game, so on and so forth. So yeah, a lot for some of the organisers to think about when it comes to next season. But like Brendan said in the chat, Legend champion next season. I can feel it too, yeah. Brendan. Yeah, I can feel it. I can see it coming.
It may not happen now. We said it.
Yeah, we are fully jinxing him right now. We
said Jensen was we're gonna be up there, but he wasn't. Yeah, so
yeah, Jensen's one of those ones, like we said. Yeah, he could be up there, but he's really struggled this season for consistency. So yeah, we'll wait and see. But Legend's been so strong. What will happen now is Legend will go to PC without telling any of us, and that will just make it even.
Right,
I don't know if that would make it I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if it would make it. I don't know if I'd be upset by that, or it would make it more interesting. I don't know which one.
I don't think Legend is on PC yet, so I think we should be fine with that one. But talking of Legend, that leads us very nicely to interviews, because he is waiting very patiently in the interview room. We also got Rudy in as well. We'll speak to Rudy in a minute, but we'll speak to Legend first, as he's been waiting so patiently. So, another race win under your belts, Legend. Can you hear us? Legend, can you hear us?
I can now, yeah.
Yay! Again, massive congratulations. You won in the wet 2 times this season, and you won in the dry. Now you've matched Danerco's win record this season. As a reserve driver of all things, tell me, how was that race for you? You made it look like it was a walk in the park.
Yeah, it all started with qualifying. I think the quality wasn't that good, but yeah, it was still a P2, so I knew there were chances again to win today. Yeah, just from the beginning to the end, just drive my own pace, and I figured out that we could have saved more ERS than the other drivers, so that's, I think, the advantage. But overall, great pace again.
Yeah, because obviously you had the likes of Marquinhos starting on pole as well. You obviously didn't get past him straight away, but obviously you were saving a bit more ERS than him. Do you think that got you the advantage to overtake him?
Yes and no. I think the pace overall was slightly better, but the ERS always a lot.
Yeah, definitely. No, obviously safety cars to spice up the race as well. I think you had it mostly your own way. You had the threat of Facecam for towards the end of that race as well. And talk us through that. Were you a bit worried that he may get past you in the final lap? Because in the last few laps it looked insanely close, but I did see Asakoma using up a bit much ERS, but maybe as well, or maybe he was just trying to close in a little bit too early as well. How worried were you, or again, were you confident?
Yeah, well, there's always a worry about that, but I think I had it pretty much covered, because I knew when I overtook him, I had more ERS, so he couldn't save more than me. So I always knew I had more ERS, and yeah, I just played it safe, and I think good, and used the ERS at the right places.
Yeah, perfect. And obviously going into next season, are you planning to stay on the PlayStation?
Yeah, for sure. At least for one season more.
That is good, because I think Aiden was a bit worried that you'll go on PC and but you're on your PlayStation next season. That is good. You're more than likely going to be in F1 full time next season. Do you see yourself as a threat for the title? Do you want to go and win season 32?
I don't want to say too much. Obviously, yes, I want to win it. I think every driver on the grid wants to win it, but it will be a challenge. But we'll definitely push flat out for it.
I do have another question, but I don't want to hog too much of the question, because I know Aiden's going to ask the same one. So Aiden, I'm going to hand it over to you for questions.
I'm not sure if we are going to ask the same one. I don't know what you're thinking, Jess. We'll wait and see. I think my question for me, because I feel like we asked a lot of the questions for next season for you last time out after your dominant win last time at Kota. I guess going into next season, obviously you are looking as one of the favourites for next season based on the pace that you've had this season. Who are you looking to as to other drivers, as to who's are people you think will be fighting for the championship alongside yourself? Who do you think is the biggest threat going into next season?
Yeah, it depends on the people that stay in F1, but I think mainly my teammate Rudy. I think he's very quick. Yeah, I don't know. There's so many quick drivers. I don't think I can pick one right now, but maybe Asicom, Tom. Yeah, there are a bunch of drivers that are very quick. The whole grid is very close, so I think everyone can be champion if they fully dedicate the time to F1.
Yeah, if they dedicate the time, like you say, and yeah, I don't really have much more to add. Jesse, you can ask your question that you wanted to ask. Was it the same one?
No, it wasn't. It was actually to talk about the calendar, because obviously that was announced last week. I'll ask the same question to Rudy in just a moment. You've probably seen the calendar, haven't you, for season 32? Are there any strong tracks of yours for next season and any weak tracks? Talk us through your thoughts on next season in terms of race tracks.
Yeah, I think the calendar looked pretty okay, decent. Although the start is maybe not so good for me, but yeah, if I practice, then it will be good. But the one that really stands out for me is Monaco, so I cannot wait to drive there.
Oh, not many people said that when I was watching the other tiers earlier on when they were talking about the calendar. So there you go. You are one of my favourites now because you like Monaco.
Me too.
So but we're looking forward to seeing you next season, Legend, as well, because I know you're going to race, of course, fingers crossed full time, otherwise that will be a fraud. Have a nice break as well. Congratulations to Legend, our race winner for the final race of British Grand Prix.
Thank you.
And I'll let Aidan have the next driver to be interviewed as well. The man who came from F3 last season and did pretty well this season as well. Rudy, can you hear us? Rudy, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Perfect. I'll hand it over to you, Aidan.
Amazing stuff. Yeah, congratulations, Rudy, on another podium. Unfortunately for yourself, not quite enough points to be able to clinch the spot against Philip Wouters, finishing 1 point behind. But either way, a fourth place in the championship for you is a really, really great way to cap off the season. How was that race from your side of things? Because you obviously pitted a lot later than a lot of your rivals. Was that always the plan, to pit a little bit later and have the fresher tyres, or was it just a spur of the moment kind of decision?
Yeah, it was a difficult race, especially with Markedos, who wasn't really able to keep up the pace with the front runners. So I had to, got out of the DRS, and then also Asicom pitted. So I was probably always going to go for the overcut because, I do tend to like to stay out a bit longer. So I have the fresher tires at the end, which does seem to work a lot better on this game as well, especially on Silverstone. So I stayed out 1 lap longer than Legend and Markedos. So I knew I was going to get out of ahead of Markedos most likely. But with the cold tires, obviously, he was going to get me back. But then I immediately got him back and kept pushing. I knew I had a way fresher tires than Asicom, who does seem to like to go for the undercut. He also did that in Jeddah. So, he always, he never really has a tire advantage. And, I was probably always going to stay out longer. But the guys pitting early definitely helped, and also helped my race because you could see that those new tires combined with my pretty good race pace, I'd say, I was catching up quickly. So it was definitely the right decision in the end.
Yeah, definitely the right decision, like you say. Do you think potentially without that interference a little bit with Markedos in the middle point of the race, do you think you could have had a shot of winning that race, or do you think Legend was maybe just a little bit too far ahead for you to win that one today?
I think I probably had the pace to get behind him, maybe even overtake him. But in the end, I'm not going to take any unnecessary risks. So, and he did seem to have good DRS management. So I probably was going to definitely be able to stay in his DRS and stuff. But overtaking is really hard when you don't have a massive ERS advantage or tire advantage, like you saw with me and Asicom on the final lap. Wasn't that easy. I was ahead before the braking zone, but he was able to challenge it. but yeah, I kept it around the outside, and then also into the final chicane was able to keep it. So I think I would have definitely been able to fight him, but yeah, in the end, he just was the best out of anyone. So yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, like you say, he was really fast today, but a great performance again from yourself. Another podium to add to your roster this season. I'll ask the same question I asked the Legend going into next season. Of course, looking like you're going to be again, obviously in the top tier with the performances you've put in this season. Legend said that you were the first person Legend mentioned when it comes to one of the title threats for next season for him. I guess who were the title threats for you as well? Do you think Legend, obviously Legend maybe probably up there as well. Was there anybody else that you think is going to be a bit of a championship threat for yourself? And do you think you can win the championship as well?
Yeah, first of all, I do definitely think I can win the championship. I even think if I would have been gotten into this form a bit earlier, that I maybe would have been able to challenge until the end. Maybe not win from the Nurko, but I definitely think it was even in there this season if some things went my way. So next season with the Nurko going up, I definitely think it's gonna be there. It's gonna be possible. So I definitely think Legend, obviously. Then you have Kazizel, who's always really fast in qualifying. Didn't pick up a win yet, but yeah, I mean, he's always up there. Then Essegom is always up there, and Tom, obviously, as well. Those are probably the main threats, I'd say.
Yeah, it's looking like a very...
but yeah.
Yeah, it's looking like a very spicy season 32. Jess, I'll save your question for you. I won't ask it, so you can get that question in.
Thank you, Aidan. I'll ask the same question that I did to Legend, where we're talking about the season 32 calendar. Obviously, it was revealed last Thursday. Any ones that stand out to you that look like are strongest to you, and any tracks that you're not looking forward to on the calendar?
Yeah, I think it will be. There won't be any tracks that I really, really dislike. I think Monaco is obviously going to be challenging. And I know there's some really fast guys there, so that might, get a bit of. Yeah, that might get interesting. And then as well, Spain isn't really one of my favorite tracks either. Definitely not, and that's the season opener. So, but yeah, I'll make sure I'll practice enough to be on the pace there. So. Yeah, I think those two are probably the most difficult races, I'd say, on that calendar. And maybe Portimao as well. But apart from that, I think I should be all right.
Perfect. That is my question from you as well. Big congratulations. A very strong season after coming up from F3. And best of luck for a potential another great season in PSF1 next season. And we'll let you enjoy the rest of your night and enjoy a few weeks off as well.
Yeah, thanks for comments as well.
No worries. So that is it then for season 31, but not the end of the stream as of yet, because we are going to be talking a little bit about season 32. Then season 32 is just around the corner. The calendar was announced last Wednesday in the PCF2 stream. And we'll run through it quickly right now. Obviously, we're starting in Spain, and the PlayStation tiers kick off the first round, but then it obviously moves to the PC tiers kicking off after that. So there we go. So we obviously got Spain that kicks off round number 1, and we got Bahrain in round number 2. Then we'll go to the Netherlands at Zandvoort, and we got Montreal in Canada. Monaco, as we were alluding to as well, as Luke and Aidan are very big fans of as well. I am as well to commentate on, not to race on. I hate racing that track. I've got a league race tomorrow and I'm dreading it. We got Silverstone, like we were tonight, round number 6. So nice to have that back on the calendar. We got Portimao as well, which was only on the game for quite a bit. Obviously, it made its return after being on the game last year as well. Then we head to Spa as well, another repeat from this season. We got Australia as well, the updated version. Obviously, a few corners have changed quite a bit. Then Austin, again, making its reappearance after this season as well. That was quite good. And then we obviously got Abu Dhabi to round off, and the updated configuration as well. Apart from Monaco, Ray, because I know you love that track, any other tracks that you are looking forward to commentating on next season?
There's quite a lot to choose from, actually. The looks of this calendar actually makes me want to race PSGL next season, because this calendar is almost tailored to my preferences, it seems like. It's looking like a very interesting calendar. I think this calendar, to me, screams qualifying. to me. This does, doesn't it? This absolutely screams track position and qualifying being very important next season, which we haven't really seen this season. I don't think qualifying's been all that important this time around. So yeah, I think proven by the fact that Kazizel's picked up 4 poles this season, but not a win. So I think that proves that qualifying this season hasn't been much of a factor, but next season it's definitely going to be really, really, really important. Tracks like Spain, Netherlands, Canada as well. You need track position there because it can get very chaotic. Monaco, of course, you need track position there. Australia, and then of course you've got the United Arab Emirates and Abu Dhabi as well. Another track where track position could be key. So yeah, I won't say Monaco because I adore Monaco. But Canada's up there for me as well. I absolutely love Canada. I think it's a great track. I think it gets a bad rap. I seem to like all the tracks that other people don't like. But Monaco, Canada, Spain, and I would say the new version of Australia, I'm very excited to see. That will be an interesting race. Obviously, with Melbourne being reprofiled as it is, it's pretty much a completely different circuit to how it was a few years ago. So, yeah, that's definitely going to be an interesting race as well.
To be honest, I'm going to go on a limb as well. I like Spain on this game to race in. So if I was to race at PSGL, I am looking forward to Spain. I hated it on the F1 games before, but with the new generation of cars, I seem to be very good at it. So I like Spain. I like Canada as well. And I would say Belgium as well. Belgium always brings some great races. And for those of you that know me and on my Twitter as well, I'm a big fan of Portimao. Portimao is my baby. I love that track to drive and commentate on. It always brings some absolute classics as well. I've got a few podiums there as well. And no matter what, I just love racing in it. No matter what the result, I always tend to have some good battles. And I remember commentating in F2 one season. It's absolutely fantastic. So yeah, those are the tracks that I love as well. But more information about dates coming up now. So sign-ups are open if you have raced this season already. So if you raced in any of the PS and PlayStation tiers this season, and make sure you go on to our Discord and sign up if you haven't already. And if you've done more than 2 races this season, you don't have to do an evaluation race. If you've done less than 2 races this season, you will have to do an evaluation race. So there you go. Those are the key dates for season 32. Sign-ups for the rest of you, the public, will be open on Thursday on the 13th of October at around about 7 p.m. on Discord. So make sure you do ! Discord for more information. That will be open till the 20th of October. That was when sign-ups will be closed, and then you'll have time to do your evaluation trials, and then that'll be closed on the 23rd, and then towards the end of October, that is when the tiers will be announced. New commentator sign-ups will be open about the same time as the public sign-ups for drivers, around about the 13th of October as well. So if you are interested in commentating for us as well, make sure you keep an eye out on that as well. So those are the key dates for season 31 as well. And who knows, we could be commentating on you next season. And make sure you do all the sign-ups correctly, because otherwise you'll get rejected. And most tiers do not commentate for ABS. So if you do use ABS, I strongly recommend you do not sign up this season. But if you don't use ABS and if you're interested, then PSGL's the league for you.
Yeah, definitely is the league for you. I think if there's ever a game where you can turn ABS, it's this one, isn't it? It's definitely nowhere near as powerful as it has been in the past, and it's a lot easier. I think the feeling on this game is a lot better with the brakes. So this is definitely, if you're going to do it, this is the time to do it. Now is the time to do it. And what a great place as well. If you're turning ABS off, PSGL is a great place to learn as well, to learn how to race with ABS off, and to learn how to qualify as well, and to learn how to improve yourself. And you can mark yourself against other drivers as well and see how you develop throughout a season. So yeah, why not do it? If you've got the assist on, now is the time to turn it off and get signed up.
Yes, because all PC tiers require it's line only or no assist. They don't have any traction control ABS at all. So if you're on PC, make sure that you try and get to grips with no line as well, because you're more than likely going to get placed in a tier as well. So best of luck to anybody that signed up for season 32 as a driver, and I'm looking forward to seeing all the tiers next season for season 32 as well. But we are not done with PSGL action. Of course, we've got the GT7 tiers on tomorrow as well, with Rebo and Luke take you through the action there as well. And we got a very special event next Monday at 7 p.m. UK time. We are teaming up with WOR to do our very first cross-play event with the Xbox drivers from WOR and our PlayStation drivers from PSGL. The top tiers from both leagues will be going up against each other to see who really is the best league. They'll be racing about one of my favourite tracks on this game. You guessed it, Portimao. So should be very, very exciting. 10 p.m. UK time. Be there or be square. It'll be streamed on both WOR and PSGL. So check it out on both channels as well. I'll be commentating for the PSGL side, and then we got Gareth, the lead commentator for the WOR Xbox side, that will be joining me as well. So it should be very, very exciting indeed. But any final thoughts, Aidan, before we wrap up for the final time, and any thank yous you want to say to any people, because we forgot to do that.
Yeah, we did forget to do that. I think from a personal side of things, thank you, of course, to everybody that's watched throughout the season, to all the drivers that have taken part as well, and thank you as well to Jess as well for being such a great lead commentator all season long, as you have been for so many seasons now as well. It's been such a pleasure to be commentating alongside you this season. And yeah, what a season it's been. So many different stories, so many different narratives, great championship battles, manufacturers and drivers wise, and so many standout performances and standout drivers, and there's so much more to come for season 32 as well. The second half of PSGL season 31 has really set up an amazing potential championship battle for next season that I think could be closer than anything we've seen in recent seasons. So I'm really looking forward to that. We'll have to wait and see if that does come to fruition. We might commentate a Skirsit and someone might completely dominate. We'll wait and see. We know what we're like. Something always happens. Exactly. But yeah, we are setting up for a very interesting and very, very competitive season 32. If what we've seen in the past 4 or so weeks is anything to go by, everything's up in the air. It's going to be great to watch.
Yes, I'd like to obviously thank the stewards as well for being so good with sorting out with the instance as well. Thank you to all the league admin to tier coordinators. Thank you, of course, to Jensen for helping out with the invites every week as well and being the tier coordinator for that. And thank you, of course, obviously, to Connor and Louis for sorting us all out as well with the placement and making sure that everyone was doing their jobs properly as well. The big man Connor as well has put in a lot of effort into making this league happen. So without him, there's no PSGL. So thank you to him. Thank you, of course, to all the commentators, including yourself, for putting in all the effort each week to make the streams look very, very good. Without the commentators, there'll be no stream. And thank you very much to all the drivers as well that are putting all the effort every week into making a good show for us as well. And finally, for one final time this season, let's mention our sponsors. We got, of course, Grid Rival, where you could join our F1 2022 Fantasy League, where you could predict real-life races as well and see how high you could get up on the grid there. And, of course, our title sponsor, GT Omega. Thank you so much to them. You can get 5% off GT Omega products by clicking the link in the description. And they gave the top tier commentators, including us, some lovely comfy chairs as well, which we've been sat at every week this season, and it's so comfy. I haven't had any back problems with it. So thank you so much to them as well. They kept us comfy whilst watching the PSGL races this season. Thank you very much. So we're going to leave you to enjoy the rest of your evening, and we will see you very soon, before you know it, for season 32. The opening round of season 32 begins on the 7th of November for us around Spain. I've been Jessica Ball, commentator's been Aidan Carter. We will see you very soon for the Spanish Grand Prix. Until then, have a good evening, and we'll leave you with our sponsors. Goodbye.
This broadcast was brought to you by GT Omega and Grid Rival, proudly supporting PSGL.